So today we are starting with the third component of fundamental analysis. Under EIC analysis, the third one is company analysis. So till now we have discussed economic analysis, industry analysis, and now we are going to study about company analysis. So these are the ladders which we follow when we try to pick a stock for investment. Right. So here, first we pick an economy, then we pick an industry. Now, out of the industry, we pick a particular company where we want to invest our money. Right. So, at the final stage of fundamental analysis, the investor analyzes the company. It is imperative that one should look at the economic analysis and industry analysis before a company is analyzed, because a company's performance is the reflection of economy, the political situation, and the industry. So they're saying why company analysis comes at end, because the company will always perform as the economy is performing and as the industry is performing. So company's performance is the shadow, is the reflection of what economy is doing, what are the political situations of the country. So that's why company analysis comes at the last. Right. So even though a particular industry may be thriving, certain companies in that industry may not be doing very well. On the other hand, it is quite likely that a few companies would do well despite the reset of companies in the industry facing difficulties. Hence selecting individual companies for investment based on the industry performance is terribly tricky. So you have to pick the right company, because maybe the whole, it has been written here also, that maybe the whole economy, maybe the whole economy is performing good, maybe the whole industry is performing good, but there may be certain companies which are not performing as per the economic and political conditions. They have I mean, the environment is very good, the infrastructure is very good, still the company is not performing good. So you cannot pick any random company if just because the industry is performing good. So you have to be very careful when you pick an company, when you pick a company, right? So there are two major components of company analysis, which are financial and non-financial. See, when we talk about companies, of course, the financial performance of the company in last few years is a must to check, right? But there are several other non-financial factors also, which may affect the performance of the company, and can help you to understand whether you should invest in the company or not. A good analyst tries to give a balanced weightage to both these aspects. You have to study both financial and non-financial aspects of the company. Overemphasis on either may lead to distorted results analysis. So you have to have a very balanced approach when you are picking a company, because if you emphasize on one of the factor too much, then it will create a problem for you. Yeah. So the different issues regarding a company that should be examined are: what are the factors which we should see? See, the very first thing we must see is the management. It is very important that you see what the management is doing, because all the strategic decisions, all the long decisions of the company, permanent decisions of the company, and what are the moral values of the company, and what is the vision and mission of the company. Everything depends upon the outlook of the company, of the management, because of course, company is not something which is just made of one person, or maybe two people, but it is a group of people who have a common vision, who are having a motto in their mind. They have certain values in their day to day life, because of which the performance of the company is affected. Yeah. So here, the first one is the management. So this is a non-financial aspect. So let's try to understand what is the role of management while you pick the company. So one of the most important factor one should consider when investing in a company is its management. It is upon the quality, competence, and vision of the management. Like how the management wants to see the company. Maybe, vision, if you understand what is vision. So vision is something which a company or a person likely to see himself or to the company after maybe 10 years. So vision is, you know, not really related to the financial aspects, but vision is always related to the moral values, right? So for example, the vision of the company is that we are going to be the best company who is going to provide the best quality products in the market and leading the market. So here you see the vision is to provide best company by providing best quality products. So it means they have a very good focus upon the quality of the products. So with vision you can understand that what is the viewpoint of the management towards the society, how they want to contribute the society. Maybe their vision is to become the market leader. Maybe their vision is to have be the company which is giving the best quality products. So obviously to accomplish that vision they have to follow certain moral values, certain standards. Then only they can be the market leader or provide the best products in the market. So with the vision of the management, it is very important that the vision of the management should be very very clear. A good competent management can do wonders with the company, while a weak, inefficient management can destroy a thriving company. So, it is completely in the hands of the people who are handling it. They can lead in such a way that they can take the company to a new heights, or they can, completely destroy it. Because, they all are having similar environment. I mean, in industry, for example, there are 20 companies in an industry. There are 20 companies, but all 20 may not perform similar way in a similar way. Some are performing very well, and some are not performing very well. Some are averagely performing. So how the strategic decisions are taken by the management, and of course, funds are also very important, of course, like the companies mid cap, large cap, or small cap. But any point of time, companies will grow if the strategies are well defined, if the plan of action is quite well designed. So you can grow, doesn't matter you are currently a small cap company or maybe a large cap company. A large cap company can completely get destroyed if the management's vision is not clear, if their strategies are not clear, if they are not, with some good moral values, standards are not there. Because of course, in market we think that profit making is the only thing we require. But in long run, only being a profit making company is not going to help the organization. That is why there is a concept of wealth maximization and profit maximization. So wealth maximization, if the company, in initial years, companies used to focus majorly on profit maximization. But with changing times, all the financial practitioners and people who have good knowledge about market, they understood that only focusing upon profit maximization is not going to help the company. Because people ultimately, it is common people who are going to make you or destroy you. So it is very important that your stakeholders should be very very happy. Then only your company will be a company who can survive in long run. But if you're not focusing upon long run, you are just focusing upon profit maximization. Of course there would be profits, but that would end. So it is very important that the management of the company should be very strategic, should have a certain standard moral values, and should really really focus upon the stakeholders of the company. So here, family management, there are many companies which are family managed companies. So these companies are managed by the members of the controlling family. The chairman or the CEO is usually the member of the ruling family, and the board of directors has those who are closely connected to the family. The policies are decided by the ruling family, and some of the policies may not necessarily be the shareholders' best interest. So, here the whole business is run by the family, right? And of course, the whatever decisions are taken by the head of the family is the final decision. But and of course, after they have their own hierarchy line, and the sons will follow the business. So here maybe they are not willing to employ a person who may be more capable, but it completely depends on the bloodline. So of course, maybe the father was very good at business, but maybe the sons are not that much good, but still they will only handle it. So here there is another issue, right? So moving forward, then there is professional management. See, first was family business, and second is professional management. Professionally managed companies are those that are managed exclusively by the employees. Here, it doesn't matter who is whose son or father, but the one who is capable, the one who is, you know, have the abilities will lead the company. In these companies, the CEO often does not have to be the financial stake in the company. He is at the helm of affairs because of the competence, ability, and experience. So here, specific people are appointed as a CEO who have the knowledge, who are capable. So these are professionally managed companies. The professional manager is a career employee. So here's in earlier case, the CEO was the head of the family, or maybe whosoever in the family, from the family. But in professionally managed companies, the CEO is not the family member, but somebody from outside, and he is just an employee of the company. He's getting salary from the company. Yeah, and he remains in the power as long as he's fulfilling his commitment and meeting his targets. So he is result oriented, and his aim is often short term, meeting the annual budget. He is generally not driven by loyalty towards company, and as he is a professional, he is usually aware of the latest trend in the management and tries to implement them. So in professionally managed companies, these companies are usually very well organized because they give the task of managing the company to a professional who has long years of experience in the market, who is growth oriented, and the good performance. For example, when Vishal Sikka became the CEO of Infosys, the share prices of the company were really getting up very fast. So the CEO, when the CEO of the company changes, it also impacts the performance of the shares in the market, because people have so much of trust in the new employee that this new CEO is going to change the structure of the company. So it has happened in many cases where if the CEO of the company has changed, people show a lot of trust and the share prices also get affected. Yeah. So then analysis, it would be unfair to state that one should invest in professionally management companies only. An investor must in addition look for, like we cannot say that only you can invest in professionally managed company. There are many companies which are family owned and they are very performing very well. So there are other factors also which may influence the decision of an investor. For example, integrity of the management. So maybe it is in their family line that they are going to make the best of products, right? So they follow their family heritage. So of course you have to see the integrity of the management. Then next is competence of the management. So maybe it is family owned or it is professionally managed company. You have to see the integrity, the competence, whether they are growth oriented or not, and then management rating by its peer in the industry. Of course, you will see other companies in the industry, that how they are looking up to that particular company. So you basically, it is like seeing the goodwill of the company. Yeah. Then there is performance during adverse period. So this is one of the very important factor, because majorly the companies performance really get affected during adverse periods. So you will, if you will check the performance of the company in bad times, that how they are behaving, what are their strategies, how soon they are able to cope up with the adverse situations, you will get to know that what is the strength of the company, whether they are going to pick up or not. Then innovativeness of the management, of course, this is very important, that whether the company is adaptive to the new measures or not. It is very, very important. So these are the factors which really make the company investment worthy. Yeah. So investors should stay away from investing companies that are yet to professionalize, because of such companies decisions are made on whims of the CEOs and not always with a good at the company in mind. So you should avoid companies where professionalism really lacks or something like that. Then one should avoid investing in family managed business if there is some family feud going on, of course, because at any point of time there may be a split, and it may create a problem for the shareholders. They may lose their worth. Yeah. So these are the factors you should majorly keep in mind when you invest. So then there is general analysis of the company, what all you see. These are also non-financial, factors which may affect the performance of the company. So here we have like history, promoters and managers who started this company. We really, really see, for example, Tata Group. We really see who is the CEO and how, what is the heritage of the company, like Ratan Tata, how he is, performing, how he is contributing to the economy in the worst of period, and the kind of statements he gave, that I can give my everything for the country. I have earned everything from this country, and we should really encourage such, endeavors, such nationalism. So people get affected. Of course, there are people who are more. Investors who are more profit oriented, they may not go for it because they just want profit, but there are many investors who really want to encourage such companies which are contributing to the society. But now we have also discussed at a time that socially responsible investors, there was a case study which we discussed in the class, that like now the investors have become more aware. It is not only, if we talk about profit maximization and wealth maximization in terms of companies, then it also comes to the investors also, that whether they are investing just to make profit or they are also helping the society. So nowadays investors have become so responsible that they like to invest in a way that they are fulfilling their social objectives also. So then technology, facility and production, like what technology the company is using, what are their facilities, production line, how many units are there, is their technology relevant, the raw material condition is up to date, and everything else. Like they usually go for their um, their production processes, they check. Then there is product range, marketing, selling and distribution. What is the product range, and do they have a large product line? And because with large product line, it is very clear that the company is huge, and people, there are investors who really like to invest in, large cap companies. What are their marketing and selling distribution strategies? What is their portfolio, product portfolio? There are many factors. Then there is industry relations and productivity and personnel. How important the labor component. So here, how well the company is treating to its laborers. So this is another factor. Like I told you that how is the company socially responsible or not. So now, earlier it used to happen that the people and the company, investors and the company, both of them used to focus more upon the profit making aspect. But now the scenario has quite shifted. Like there is a lot of social responsibility. If a company is not treating the laborers well, there are so many problems, then people do not like to invest in such companies. So this is one of the factor. Then environment, are they following the environmental norms, government policies, and are there any statutory control on production, price, distribution, raw material? So there are a number of factors like this, like how they are contributing to the environment, or they are following the social norms, the production norms, the pricing norms, and the distribution norms. All these factors play a very important role while you pick a company. So basically, in non-financial aspects, we pick a company which is socially responsible, and which is following a proper moral standards. Then moving forward, we will do SWOT analysis. In SWOT analysis, we see strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, see, strengths and weaknesses comes from internal factors, and opportunities and threats comes from external factors. So for example, the strengths of the company, what can be the strengths of the company? So whenever you pick a company, you see its strength, like how it is better from the competitors in the market. Like they have good technology, maybe they have their delivery cost is low, their finances are strong, the company has good manpower, the product line is good. So these can be the strengths. And then weaknesses, like they have loose control, untrained labor forces, strained cash flows, poor quality products, family funds, or poor public image. So these are weaknesses. But always remember that weaknesses will lead to opportunities. If you have a weakness, if a company has a weakness, it always has a chance to convert its weakness into opportunity. So but opportunities will come from external sides, for example growing domestic demand. If the company do not have demand in maybe domestic market, they can go for international markets where maybe other countries where they have good demand, they may have good demand, right? So you can convert your weaknesses at any point of time in opportunities, but it is up to management that how wisely they are taking decisions. So opportunities can be expanding export markets, cheap labor, booming capital markets, low interest rates. So anything. And but opportunities has to be identified. You cannot just sit and wait that opportunity will come at its own. You have to find out that where the opportunity lies. You have to explore a lot. Then there are threats like price wars, because if there is it is a there is competition, there may be maybe monopoly in perfect competition, there is no as such a problem, that things are fixed. But in case of oligopoly or other market situations, there can be price wars also, and intensive competition, undependable component suppliers, infrastructure bottlenecks, and power cuts. There are many problems like that. So these threats come from external environment. For example, government has changed. So this is a kind of threat, right? Or maybe you are dealing with a particular country, you were dealing with a particular company and country, sorry, but the relationship of your country with that country has been changed. For example, India-China relationship, Indo-China relationship. So now, as we are banning day by day more apps of China in India, we are banning it. So the trade will get affected. So these are external threats which comes from environment. So whenever you pick a company, you have to see what can be the threats. Then moving forward, okay, so now this can be the company analysis, and there can be other factors also, like just a second. So you can if you want to explain this what, you can pick a company, particular company, and you can just discuss this what. But now I will be just discussing rest of the factors. Like other factors were the company in see the management we have discussed, like in management the family management or professionally managed. Then in company we will do SWOT analysis, right? And then annual reports. Here it is important, the annual reports, ratios, and cash flows. These three things, these 3 points comes under financial aspect. So how do you understand, how do you check the performance of the company? Obviously you do not know the history of the company, you are just an investor. So the simplest way to check the performance of the company is to see the annual reports of the company. You can see maybe last 5 years of annual reports, because annual reports have each and everything about the company, because it is the mandate for the company to mention all its successes and failures in the annual report, and everything has to be true. But of course there are certain scams, but it is a mandate that everything has to be um, truthfully, explained in annual reports. And if you want to check the performance, if you have good sound knowledge about the finances, you can read the annual report nicely. You can see all financial and non-financial aspects of the company, the how company has performed in last 5 years, and what are their future plans, how they are going to progress in the future, and where they're going to expand. Everything, their all future plans are written in annual report. So it is a good way to analyze the performance of a company by just looking at their annual reports. And in annual reports, all their ratios and cash flows are given. You can see their financial position in last 5 to 10 years, whatever I mean duration you want to pick up. Usually, people pick last 5 years of data, but of course, if you want to see more than that, you can go for it. So ratios like what was the gross profit, net profit, and usually there are few ratios which are very important. So if you can go with these ratios to understand that how the company has performed in last 5 years. Do they have good gross profit ratio, net profit ratio? What is their debtor turnover ratio? What is their creditors turnover ratio? And other thing very important is EPS, which usually investors must see, earning per share, because they are going to earn out of this. So earning per share is one of the very important ratio which any investor should see, right? Then cash flows obviously tell you that what are their inflows and outflows, and do they have cash crunches more often, or they have reasonable amount of cash with them. You can just see all these things from annual reports. So from annual reports you can check cash flows or ratios, anything. So basically these are financial aspects of the, and also there are balance sheet of the company, like the assets, their liabilities, and on the basis of that you can always analyze balance sheet. So for analysis of balance sheet, there are different approaches, like comparing balance sheets of 2 to 3 years. So for that, one must have very sound knowledge of the balance sheet. Yeah, how to analyze balance sheet. So this is all about company analysis. These are the factors, these are the five things which comes under company analysis. So on the basis of EIC analysis, economy, industry, and company, you can pick a right stock so that you can be rest assured that you are going to earn profit. And always remember that the fundamental analysis is done in case of investment, not in case of trading or speculation, because you are doing such a long you're performing such a long procedure to pick one stock. So obviously you want to invest somewhere. So EIC is, or fundamental analysis, is used for investment purposes, where you are going to invest, for example, 3 to 4 years, for 3 to 4 years, and holding the stock and want to earn something out of the stock. And usually fundamental analysis is done in case of value stocks. Value stocks are like which are with the see, we have also discussed about two types of stock: value stocks and growth stocks. Growth stocks are usually the stocks which are going to give you quick returns, but value stocks are stocks maybe today their prices are low, but they have invested in some good project and they are going to give you very good returns, but it may take time. So after doing fundamental analysis, you invest in value stocks. So this is all about fundamental analysis, or we call it EIC analysis.